identify just cerebrum. And over there you can identify some projection with name of gyrus and some depression with name of sulcus. If you remember, I told you deep sulcus is called fissure. So we have one fissure in here. This is the longitudinal fissure, and we have other fissure in here between cerebrum and cerebellum. This is the transverse fissure. So there's two fissure in here: longitudinal, transverse. Okay. All right. For lobes, if you remember, I told you we have 5 lobes: frontal, parietal, temporal, and occipital. Here you can see those 4. Last one,
Which one is temporal?
this is temporal. Frontal, parietal, temporal, occipital. So for bones also we have frontal bone, parietal bone, temporal bone, occipital bone. All right. So last one, we don't have access to that. We'll hide by temporal and frontal. So if I remove, you can see the last one in here. This is the insula.
Is that the lower part? Or everything?
This one, you can see the gyrus and sulcus,
That's
the whole
between
thing.
the
This is the
temporal and the
lower.
frontal?
That's the lobe, yes, that's the insula lobe.
Oh, okay.
The whole thing in here is insula lobe. All right. So for bone, again, as I told you before, we don't have any problem because there is a suture in the skull, so we can separate. But in here is a little bit hard. So first we're supposed to find a lateral sulcus. So this is the temporal, this is the frontal, and this is the parietal. This line, as you see it here, is lateral sulcus. So separate temporal from 2 others. All right. So frontal and parietal is above, and temporal is below. All right. From here, as you see, we have another sulcus, which is moving up here. Can you see the sulcus here? That's the central sulcus. All right, so if I put this one here as a central, this will be frontal lobe, this will be parietal lobe, and this will be temporal lobe. So with these 2 sulcus, we can separate those 3 from each other. So this is the lateral, this is the central. Okay, when we are focusing to the central one in here, we can identify 2 large gyrus, as you see, one in front of this line, one in back. So gyrus, which is in front of sulcus, is called precentral. The other one is back, is postcentral. So precentral is primary motor cortex. Postcentral is primary sensory cortex or somatic sensory cortex. So motor in front, sensory in back. This one is pre-central, this one is post-central in back. Last sulcus is here in medial side. In lateral side we can see it's not very clear, but in medial side is very nice and clear. So this sulcus is parietal, occipital. Parietal here, occipital here. So we had 3 sulcus: parietal, occipital, lateral, central. How many fissure? 2 fissure. Longitudinal, transverse. And how many lobe? 5. 5 in right side, 5 in left side. Okay, so inside there's connection between these 2, all right? There's connection between these 2, and I told you this connection is called corpus callosum. So in sagittal section, this white structure, as you see, is corpus callosum. So fiber are moving from right to left and vice versa. All right. And in this one, which is coronal section, we have better view. See, this is the corpus callosum, connection between right hemisphere and left hemisphere. And if you look at the Above this structure, what's this structure? Longitudinal fissure. Perfect. Longitudinal fissure here. At the bottom we have corpus callosum, connection between two hemispheres. Below this structure we have two chambers. Those chambers are lateral ventricle. Lateral ventricle. So in this model, these two structures are lateral ventricle. So if I open the brain here, you can see that we have chamber, same thing in here. So this structure can fit here. All right. So lateral ventricle, we have one chamber in right side, we have one chamber in left side. So this is the whole thing about the cerebrum we're supposed to remember. Next structure is diencephalon. This is the diencephalon in here. And this projection, as you see it here, will be thalamus. This structure with different color is interthalamic adhesion. So big structure is thalamus, interthalamic adhesion. All right. We have tiny chamber between right and left thalamus with interthalamic adhesion like this. So this chamber between my two fists is third ventricle, and this piece of wood is interthalamic adhesion. So you can see third ventricle here, and this is for passing the interthalamic adhesion. And if you focus in here, in coronal section again, we can see the third ventricle, just tiny chamber, and we have thalamus beside that. So this is the third ventricle, lateral ventricle, third ventricle. This is third, those are lateral. Third ventricle. So in sagittal section, it's hard to imagine location of third ventricle. It's tiny, tiny area. Okay, so this chamber has ceiling, has floor. Ceiling is called epithalamus, and floor is called hypothalamus. So this pinkish color here is epithalamus, and at the end we have pineal body or pineal gland. So this projection is pineal gland or pineal body. So epithalamus, pineal gland here. This structure, as you see at the bottom, is hypothalamus. For hypothalamus, we had two structures. One was this projection as a mammillary body. Mammillary body was involved with the olfactory reflection. And also we had infundibulum, connection between pituitary gland and hypothalamus. So this is the pituitary gland, this is structure, and this is the thalamus. So this tiny line, as you see here, is infundibulum. Infundibulum is connection between pituitary gland and hypothalamus. This tiny structure here is infundibulum. So definitely in your test, I'm not asking about the infundibulum. You don't have tiny label, but yes, I'm going to asking the pituitary gland or the whole hypothalamus or pineal body or gland here. The whole thing here is thalamus. This structure is interthalamic adhesion. So after diencephalon, we are gonna working on cerebellum. So this is the cerebellum. This structure is made by two hemispheres, left and right, and a structure between them. So this structure, worm-shaped structure, is vermis. So vermis and hemisphere. The architecture which we have in here is arbor vitae or tree of life. As you see, we have chamber in here. This is the fourth ventricle. It has floor, it has ceiling. So ceiling is made by cerebellum. Ceiling is made by cerebellum. Floor is made by pons and medulla. these two structures. Okay, after cerebellum, I'm going to talk about the brainstem content of three parts: midbrain, pons, medulla oblongata. For upper part, which is midbrain, we have anterior part, we have posterior part, and between them there is a canal for connection between third ventricle and fourth ventricle. So this canal is called Sylvius canal, Sylvius canal, or cerebral aqueduct. So CSF is coming from lateral ventricle to the third ventricle, is moving from third ventricle to fourth ventricle, and from fourth ventricle, part of that to the spinal cord. Most part is moving to the subarachnoid space. All right, so what do we have in anterior part? In anterior part, we have peduncles, cerebral peduncles. I'm gonna show you like this. One in right side, one in left side. Those are cerebral peduncle, and we have corticospinal fiber. Motor fiber, which are coming from cortex of brain toward those two projection, which is peduncle. And those peduncle will move toward the pons and coming here to the medulla as a pyramid. If we follow it, we can reach to this structure. What do we have in back? So in back, we have two projection, superior, inferior caliculi. And this is the pineal body. So pineal body, superior caliculi, inferior caliculi. Pineal body, superior caliculi, inferior caliculi. So superior was center for visual reflex, and the other one was center for auditory reflex. So see, this is the pineal body, superior caliculi, inferior caliculi. Superior, inferior, and this one is pineal body or pineal gland. For pons, we don't have a lot of information, just anterior part is a little bit wider, we have projection, and cranial nerve are coming out. And posterior part is just floor of fourth ventricle. For medulla, anterior part is important, you're supposed to remember. These two parts are called pyramid. So these two finger-like structure are pyramid. And the other structure which I'm showing you, but I'm not asking your test, is olive. This structure is olive. As you see, we have one cranial nerve in front, two cranial nerves in back of this structure. This is olive, or you can see here as an olive. Let's a little bit talk about the cranial nerve. How many cranial nerve do we have?
12.
We have 12. So this is number 1, which is olfactory. This is number 2, which is optic. Olfactory, optic. This one is the third one, oculomotor, coming from front part of midbrain. This one is number 4, coming from back of the midbrain to the front. And this number 5, or trigeminal, is big, huge, in lateral side of pons. So one more time. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. So after this, 6 to the end is easy. Why? Because from medial to the lateral, from above to the bottom, we have numbers. So see, this one is number 6, this one is number 7, this one is number 8, number 9, number 10, number 11. One more time. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. For 11, as you see, there's 2 branch in here. I told you part of that is from medulla, part of that is from spinal cord. Okay, so 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This is the last one, 12. 12 is in front of olive. 12 is in front of olive. Okay, any question? This model also will be in your test. So these 2 parts are lateral. This part is third ventricle. And this part is fourth ventricle. Okay. If there is no question, just go back to your sit, look at your model, and again I'm going to asking